everyone. My name is Priya Patra and I am the Vice President Outreach of the PMI Mumbai chapter. And welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening depending on from which part of the globe you have joined in today. Again, we are back with another exciting topic. And this time we are going to talk about hybrid teams. But before that, let me introduce Pierre Axel, our chapter leader from South Africa. Pierre, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, welcome to this exciting session. This is Pierre from PMI South Africa.
I do also have Rushank from PMI Gujarat chapter.
Hello everyone, this is Rushank from PMI Gujarat chapter. Good to see you all.
And Madeleine from PMI Netherlands chapter. Madeleine, are you able to unmute yourself? Or you're speaking on mute? All right. So while Madeleine figures out how to unmute himself, Pierre, would you want to go ahead and welcome our guest?
Oh, is it working now?
It is working now. Yes.
Great. So shall I pick it? Hello everyone, this is Madeleine from the PMI Netherlands chapter. Good to see everyone and hope you'll have a nice event.
Thank you, Madeleine. And over to Pierre now.
Right. So I'm just going to basically introduce just a guest, just give the speaker's name, right? And then they will just tell us a little bit about themselves.
Yeah, so before that, let me introduce the topic of the day, which I have already done. And today we are welcoming PMI friends from different PMI chapters across the globe. And they are basically Indonesia, Gujarat, Zimbabwe, New Zealand, Phoenix chapter, Czech Republic chapter, South Africa chapter, Pierre, you are from there, Netherlands chapter, Sri Lanka chapter, South Florida chapter, United Kingdom, Lima, Peru, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Southern Alberta chapter, Luan from nearby to where you stay, and Kenya chapter, Ghana, Poland, Greece, Puget Sound chapter from Washington State, and our supporting chapters like PMI UAE chapter, a newest member who will be joining us in season 3 in 2022, and PMI Mozambique chapter. Again, Mozambique will be joining us in 2022, and many other supporting chapters. And with this, let us know from where you have joined it, and please say hello to each other. And Madeleine, it is after you now. Again, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, is it? I hope you can hear me now. Sorry for the issues, technical issues, but everything will be fine. Eventually, thank you to everyone for this warm response to our initiative. And please let us know where you are from, going to the Menti website and entering the code that is shown here on the slide. This meeting is being recorded when we want to let you know that. And if you are uncomfortable in any ways, you may choose to change your name or not to attend, but everyone else is welcome to continue. Please also make sure that during the meeting, your mic is on mute and put your noise making devices on silent mode. Everyone here in this event are speaking on their individual capacity. Their views do not represent our organization views in any ways. Thank you, everyone, and hope you'll have a nice event.
Thank you, Madeleine. And with this, I will take the pleasure of introducing Luan. She is a director at PMI, and she is the department chair and associate professor of University of Alaska. She has strong educational and education professional skill in project management and engineering management. She is passionate about championing positive social impact, fostering inclusive leadership. And of course, she is a committed volunteer and has serving over 10 non-profit boards of directors. Wow, that is a lot. And each in leadership roles, contributing to strategy, governance, and operations leadership. And with this, Luann, I hand over the stage to you to kickstart this session, and I will stop sharing.
Can you allow me? Oh, there we go. Awesome. Can everybody see that?
Not yet. It's coming up.
Can everyone see that now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for hosting me. It's really my honor to join you virtually to represent the PMI Board of Directors. And I'm joining you from cold Alaska Anchorage, where we already have snow on the ground, if you can believe that. And my thanks really go out to all the chapters who make this event a reality. And it's pretty impressive to see all the leaders here today representing pretty much every corner of the globe. And I'd like to just say hello to my closest neighbor in southern Alberta, even though I'm a bit more north and west than you are, but it's nice to have you. And I hope that next year our PMI Alaska chapter can be on your list so that you can actually get somebody that's close to the Arctic. That would be kind of cool. So we all have a little bit of Zoom fatigue these days, but it's also really cool that we can all be connected without leaving our homes. And this chapter exchange event is such an incredible initiative. It really allows our chapters to collaborate, share ideas, and foster greater cultural diversity. I'm really pleased to be here today to help kick things off and share some of PMI's perspectives on the ways that work is changing and how project professionals can prepare themselves, but in particular as it relates to your topic today, a project management for hybrid teams. But before we dive into the presentation, I'd like to just put in a short plug for our Hours of Impact initiative, which is calling on our global community to pledge 100,000 hours of service in support of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals in 2020. And as a member of the UN Global Compact, PMI has signed a formal commitment supporting those 17 SDGs, which addresses our world's most urgent challenges from climate change to poverty. And as you heard, I'm really a strong advocate for social impact. I was, as part of my board service, I was one of the catalysts to make social impact one of our pillars in PMI 4.0, something I'm really, really proud of. And I believe that we have the opportunity to truly change with our skill set. Really grateful that whenever I'm stuck on a problem, I have a global network of peers like you that I can call on for ideas and inspiration. One of, as you all know, one of PMI's greatest assets is our global reach. And this is a snapshot, pretty amazingly, of where we are today based on internal data we collected in early 2021. And we're really lucky to benefit from the insights and perspectives of professionals from around the world, including all of you. So attending events like this will give each of you an opportunity, and you have, as part of this chapter exchange, to network with others who have many of the same challenges that you have. As we all know, over the last 18 months, we've experienced major disruption to business as usual. The whole world around us paused to understand and come to grips with what was happening. But at the same time, so many organizations found ways to pivot and respond to COVID by rapid development of a vaccine, converting canteens to makeshift hospitals, shipping oxygen around the world, pivoting to really proud been around the world, back our profession even stronger in light of these changes. And this chapter exchange program is a great example. Think about 18 months ago, this didn't exist, and now it does, and it's paving the way in an incredibly positive leadership example. People are the key to success with projects and making ideas a reality. And we want the concept of change makers to be universal, because change makers aren't just project program, portfolio managers, and engineers. A change maker could be a teacher, an architect, or a designer. And many of the people who work around us with some form of projects every day. So we can see that change makers are every place that we look. However, change makers don't often realize that they are actually involved in important projects, but we as project managers see that they have scope, schedule, costs, deliverables, risks, and everything else that we are familiar with. And so there's a need and a willingness by all makers, no matter how or what their profession is, to improve and have mastery of their craft. And this is why we're here, because this is how we can help them, by sharing our knowledge and being mentors. Organizations are going to need us more than ever as they need to tackle unprecedented change. As you know, PMI conducts our own assessment of the most urgent long-term trends around the globe. Everything from climate change to shifting demographics to the latest technology like artificial intelligence. We call this summary our signposts report, and you can find that online at the PMI website if you want to learn more. But in that report, we synthesize findings from research and news reports. We also speak with industry leaders from around the globe and analyze information from a range of databases. All of that to gain a greater understanding of where the world is headed and how project professionals can best prepare. A key takeaway from those trends is that the world is moving so quickly that teams must form and pivot quickly in response to driving greater shift towards projectization. Our Pulse of the Profession research also shows how some organizations have actually thrived during the last 18 months. And we're only beginning to see now how the pandemic is going to shift long-term trends in terms of how teams organize and deliver work, and accelerating the shift that PMI calls the project economy, in which work and value is increasingly delivered in the form of projects. And that means that a fundamental shift is happening in how organizations and their teams plan their work so that people and organizations can thrive in periods of ambiguity and capitalize on change. So to succeed, organizations need people that can adapt their approaches to new ways of working by sensing change, responding with speed. The profession research looked at some of the ways that new work in our ecosystem has impacted teams. And I think we would all agree that projects are no longer adjacent operations, or they're embedded. Instead, it's project portfolio that's driving disruption, innovation, and expansion, and it's highly integral. Our research also shows that more than half of all organizations are reorganizing their activities around projects and program to drive positive change. And this is the project economy, and that's the next generation of where teams will determine how well organizations perform. Interesting too is that today's teams are busting down the boundaries around the enterprise and creating an all-for-one mentality. Our research reveals that half of project professionals are involved in cross-functional project-based work. Effective collaboration can be challenging in any context, as we all know, but the pivot to virtual work represents a profound paradigm shift for many organizations. Suddenly, we have had to shift away from rigid structures of working to outcomes driven by flexible teams. Cross-disciplinary leadership skills that come naturally to us as project managers will be in greater demand as power skills of leadership through influence and collaboration in flatter, flexible organizations will replace strict management hierarchies. In a remote or hybrid environment, which is what we're talking about today, managers will be more focused on leveraging the assets of an organization and creating a supportive environment for talent to grow and thrive. And new ways of working and leveraging global talent will also require cultural awareness skills that are even more essential in a virtual environment. Opportunities through PMI to engage, collaborate, and network with global peers strengthen this skill and tap into growing sources of talent around the world. Who better than us to develop and access the best of the best in project management around the globe? If this pandemic has taught us one thing, it's how much we can accomplish when we leverage talent locally, regionally, and globally to produce results that lead positive change. As projects grow more complex, roles and responsibilities are also shifting. Our research shows that less than a third of project team members have traditional project manager titles, which is one reason why PMI has increasingly targeted a broader set of professionals that we call change makers. In today's project teams, we're looking for more than just technical prowess. In PMI's latest pulse, project professionals, the people, our peers, we ranked those top team skills. And interestingly enough, the ultimately highest rated or most important skill was collaborative leadership. And that was deemed the most essential team skill. And so I would argue that in this hybrid virtual environment, what we call power skills are even more crucial than ever. Those are the skills that enable us to effectively work with people, read cues from body language, even on remote and virtual environments, use our emotional intelligence, particularly when we're interacting primarily over a screen and miscommunication is easy to come by. At my university, beginning in 2006, and long before the pandemic, we actually incorporated hybrid virtual teaming as a core element of our learning environment so that students could learn to lead, communicate, and produce outcomes in a hybrid virtual environment. And a hybrid virtual environment can be even more complicated than fully virtual, because when everyone is either in person or virtual, there's somewhat of a level playing field. But when you have, it's very challenging to create an inclusive and fully collaborative high performance team when some members are co-located and others are remote, which is the definition of the hybrid team concept that you guys are talking about today. So leadership in hybrid virtual environments is a skill that must be practiced to be built. So we must provide opportunities for all of us to learn and grow through training, coaching, and mentoring. It's an exciting time because the role of project managers is evolving very quickly today. We're less focused simply on delivering projects on time and on schedule, and more focused on delivering change as a strategic advisor. This version of the talent triangle builds on that earlier work, but now looks more holistically as a framework for upskilling to meet the needs of today and in the future. This is our PMI certification framework, where we have multiple offerings that provide value to professionals throughout each stage of their professional career. And I'm hoping that we can integrate more and more concepts here around how to be effective in this sort of virtual teaming environment. Some of the takeaways that I'd like you to leave from my bit of this presentation leading into what you're going to be talking about today is the importance of upskilling our power skills, because it has a huge return on investment. Being those collaborative leaders, being adaptable, having an innovative mindset, being empathetic, and then very also importantly, cross-cultural skills as we lead global virtual teams. Hybrid and virtual teams are going to drive structural and cultural changes in the organizations that we're part of. And that's going to be an increasingly and critical skill for what it is that we need to do. And projects, of course, is how work is going to be done progressively more and more. So our skills are even more vital at every level, including all change makers. So great ideas make the world a better place. And even in a digital age, it's still up to people to actually bring those ideas to reality in every sector. So it's important that all of us, regardless of where we sit, become aware of this need to act as a positive change maker and lead the way for our profession. So thank you for all you do. Our volunteers and chapters are the heart of PMI, and I'm so privileged to be with you here today. So thank you very much. Turning it back to you.
Thank you, Luann. And that was a good dose of inspiration for us to kickstart our hybrid project management. I would say project management for hybrid teams. And with this, I again share my screen just to give you a little update about our initiative, which is the PMI Chapter Exchange. For those who don't know about our initiative, yes, this is a global collaboration, or should I say a global virtual collaboration? Yes, this is a global virtual collaboration. And if you see, it is a collaboration of 20 chapters all across the globe. They are all on this single platform. And there are many, many other supporting chapters. And I've seen them all joining in this session today. So that is something that motivates us and keeps us going. It is all about teamwork. And these events that you see are all co-created by the collaboration that we have with all these chapters. And you have also seen that we have moved from events to something what we call as exchange series. These are knowledge nuggets about the key takeaways from these events that you are attending today. And by doing this, we are building a community where we are sharing good practices. And yes, we grew. We grew through diversity, inclusion, and equity of thoughts, one of the PMI values, one of the most important PMI values, I would say. And yes, we are happy and we are very proud that we have been sharing our story across the globe as well. We presented our story in the Leaders Pathway Asia Pacific meeting, which is a meeting of all the chapter leaders in the Asia Pacific region. We've also presented in the Global Limb just in October 9th, with excellent feedback, and we have been approached by many chapters who wants to join this program. On October 30th, we do go ahead and present again in the Region 16, the Africa Limb, along with all these Africa chapter leaders that you see here today, especially Pierre from South Africa chapter, Ernest from Ghana chapter, Robert from Zimbabwe chapter, Robert from Carl from Zimbabwe chapter. And we will be presenting our story with this Africa chapter leaders there as well. So do join us if you can to hear our stories about the lessons that we learned across continents, cultures, and countries, and how we build bridges with project management. And with this, I'm handing over the stage to Thomas, who is our session moderator of the day. And just to give you a little introduction about Thomas, and this is very interesting. Thomas loves chaos because he thinks chaos is an opportunity to discover unique and unknown patterns. And he is an agile project management professional, and that's where we resonate as well, with rich experience in leading IT projects and agile teams. He's an experienced transformation leader, agile coach, trainer, consultant, and a long time volunteer of Project Management Institute. He is also a podcaster and a cave diver. And he thinks projects and cave diving share the same desire for constant improvement and breaking the boundaries. So over to you, Thomas, to see how we can break the boundaries and make our hybrid teams as productive and as effective as ever. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, hybrid work, or actually remote work, it broke all the boundaries. It during last month, actually. So in less than 2 years, we've switched from, let's say, the past or standard way of working, whatever it was. I think most of us even don't remember this. Then we work, and right now the global economy is starting to switch into hybrid work, which is another rapid disruption, I believe, for the whole market, and I think it brings a lot of new trends. So everything is changing again and again. I believe that this flexibility will stay with us for a long of time. We will not get back to the past. That's I'm sure about this, and that brings a lot of challenges to leaders. And today I think we have an amazing opportunity to discuss these quality trends with our panelists. So before we will switch in questions, I'd like to give some space to our panelists to say a couple. So please introduce yourself. Kate, could you start?
Absolutely. Thanks, Tomas. I'm Caitlin Bullock. I'm the co-founder of Ventus Solutions. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years plus now and growing our company. So I had a great amount of experience in the project management world with clients all going through this change as well as ourselves at the same time and navigating that. And I look forward to sharing some insights with you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds you're always in the middle of the storm. So I think it will be very insightful from your side. Okay, Gita, could you say something about yourself?
Thanks, Thomas. Hello, everyone. My name is Geeta Gopal, and I'm based in Singapore. It's about 10:30 p.m. for me, but I'm still bright. I'm very excited to be part of this event. So about me, I'm associated with PMI for almost 10 years now, and most recently, I've been very fortunate to be named as one of PMI's Future 50 Leaders for 2020. And I think that puts me, puts a lot of responsibility on my shoulders to give back to the community. I feel I've not done enough, and this is a great opportunity. I would like to thank you guys. In terms of my professional experience, I specialize in infrastructure and latest technology projects, digital transformation, AI, and so on. And I'm the head of infrastructure project delivery and digital transformation at Panasonic in Singapore. And I manage a regional team. Interestingly, we are all virtual now. Many of them I haven't seen. We hired them, virtually, and they're all based across the region, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, and so on. And it's been working very well. So personally, I'm pro virtualization in that aspect. So I'm very happy to be part of this event and would like to share what I think has worked for us in our organization, what didn't work, and so on. Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Okay, thank you. I love this giving back mindset. So thank you for doing this. Jorge.
Good morning. I'm really happy to be here. Nice to meet you all. Well, my name is Jorge Castro. I'm from Lima, Peru, Latin America. It's not Mexico. It's Peru, in South America. Well, I have more or less 13 years of working experience working with IT projects. I think, especially in agile transformations, DevOps transformation, and data transformations, with some kind of global experience because I work for companies like Verizon, for example. So I have this kind of experience. So, and currently, some of my passion, is sharing knowledge. I'm here. I think that we need to share knowledge. We need to share what we are doing. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's amazing. For you, it's good morning, and for Gita, it's late evening. So this word is amazing tonight or today, wherever we are in the world. And finally, John, could you say a couple of words about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm John Seriwa from Zimbabwe. I am the managing director and founder of Sage Hill Business Solutions. We are a tech company that delivers top-notch technology solutions to our market. We have customers across Zimbabwe and other African countries, and we do have quite a number of virtual teams that operate. I'm excited to be part of this conversation, and I'm sure because of the experience that we've had in working with virtual teams, I will add value. Our goal is to make the world a better place through the use of technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so if you're working in tech industry, actually, we are quite familiar with virtual or hybrid teams for years. So I think you will have some amazing insights for us. So before I will start with the opening question, the reminder for all the audience, please remember, ask the question. You have an opportunity to ask your questions on the chat. We will gather them and we will try during the discussion answer to as many questions as we will be able. Remember, there are no bad questions, no stupid questions. Just use your curiosity, whatever you are curious about. Just let's make this discussion between us and yourself, and I think we will have a great time together. So, Just to start, as some kind of energizer, I would like to start with this first question. Because, you know, guys, in business schools, teachers, leaders taught us how to lead people in, let's say, the previous world, the previous era. We've been taught how to motivate people when we have people in the office, and that's changed. That's changed. Right now we have people in the office, at home, so we have to change the way we are motivating, and we are, let's say, driving productivity. So the first question is, how can we as leaders or project managers ensure that motivation or productivity of team is growing, is not dropping if you don't have a physical contact, if you don't have a face-to-face contact with your team? So guys, who would like to be the first to answer this question? You are on mute, John. I think you are starting.
Yes. Okay, I'll start with that one. Okay, I'm sure we can start with first of all, to ensure that they are motivated. We must assure them that if you're out of sight, you're not out of mind. Even if wherever they are, we need to engage with the team members at a personal level. For instance, you could be using several project management tools to communicate with them and via group emails and the like. But each and every person, they've got personal needs that needs to be attended to. So you can use direct messages to talk to them, phone calls to check on their families. That keeps them motivated and also have time to discuss their personal issues. And I'm sure there's also need for emotional intelligence to be able to read even how they are feeling at any given time, even on a virtual call like this. Some, they seem distracted and you can almost tell with time. And then on productivity, I would argue that it will be key to use project management software tools to keep everyone in check of what they're supposed to do, their tasks, feedback from them constantly, and to have maybe engagements, almost ad hoc meetings, and also to link your certain softwares that you are using so that everyone is part of the team, and to ensure that there is productivity and there's engagement. The key is to involve everyone and to keep checking and to ensure everyone is in track. That's what I would say for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your perspective. Anyone else would like to add anything to this part? Kate?
Thanks, Tomas. John, really great points. And you talked about, implementing PMI or project management tools that track tasks. And I think there is a shift around projects that is happening, needs to happen, where I know a lot in North America here, we were very much utilization based, right? So you were tracked on your hours and projects were bid on hours. And so it really turned into this managing hours and trying to fill that space versus getting a task done. And what is productivity really? Is it filling those hours or is it getting that task done? And I love that you said manage tasks, right? And that's, I think, so important, is that we need to look at productivity differently. It's not filling hours to meet the bill. It's getting done, being productive, right? And if you have an innovative solution or tool, that should give you the leverage to be more productive. That sets you apart nowadays. And so I think we really have to change that aspect of productivity.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. I love this idea about getting things done. Just, yes, I think this is the way the world switched right now. We don't measure productivity anymore with hours sitting on the chair. Okay, anyone else would like to add anything? Jorge, great, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, actually, I agree with Caitlin mentioned. In Agile, ways of working, we think about value, right? So whatever we are doing a project is about a business value, an outcome, right? For your customer, for your team members. It's about what is the benefit, right? That is the agile mindset. I'm going to do something because there is a value there, right? So regarding that point and regarding motivation, I think Simon Sinek says something like, people is not going to buy what you are doing. People is going to buy why you are doing that, right? So I think that is something quite important for any leader, right? You need to engage people, right, about your projects, your activities, but you need to make them part of the change, right, and the why. What is the final value of this, right? We are improving the life of customer. We are saving lives with this vaccine and COVID situation. We are improving this kind of markets or and so forth. So I think something that people really is looking for is about the why, right? Why am I doing this, right? So I think it's a very important part for a leader.
Okay, thank you. Gita, do you have any final opinion to add this to close the round?
I personally feel that we have become more productive now, because we are now managing the pandemic. Personal and in personal lives, many of us are affected in unknown ways, right? And each day has been a challenge. So for me, the whole definition of productivity has changed. We have been more productive now, physically, mentally, emotionally, also at work. So I feel that taking that in mind, going forward, we should all look at it from we've proved something already. We've proved that last 2 years have been a great lesson for us. So let's just take it, see how productive we can be. Where we don't have to go to office, we don't have to travel those 2 hours anymore to get to a place, to see someone face to face and get it done. So and we've also established the level of trust, that we have built virtually with people, with our teammates, all across the world. So all these things we should remember. This is my only point. I will always want to remind myself of what we've been through over the last 2 years, what worked for us, and it could work in the future as well. I feel this is my thought on this.
Thank you, and thank you for this perspective about productivity. To ask you guys if we are more productive in this virtual world, in this hybrid way of working. And actually, you've answered this before my question, which is good because it brings a different question to my mind, and that people are exhausted working from home, like working remotely. Because yes, in general, I believe we are more productive working remotely or in any hybrid manner. But if we consider, what's the final outcome? Because if people are more productive because they will spend more time, which from company perspective probably is good, but from the other perspective, if we are so exhausted, work all of our computers, monitors with sometimes no break for lunch or coffee or whatever for, I don't know, 8, 10, 11 hours. What is the balance? What do you think about this balance between exhaustion and productivity in hybrid world? Anyone? Caitlin?
Thanks. Yeah, it is exhausting, and most people come to work and they want to do good and they want to work hard, and so before, when we were in the office, we had structured break times, right? It was a longer walk to the washroom. There was a drive to work. There was this time where we had this downtime for ourselves. Even though we were doing something, it wasn't intense in the work. When we're at home or even a hybrid team, it is exhausting because you don't book those times. So I think as leaders, as project managers, we need to be super conscious of allowing people to book their breaks and even book them where it's, hey, let's get together, right? Because we don't have those water cooler meetups anymore. So what if we had a standing 15-minute coffee break, even if it's virtual and in person or a hybrid of both, where we all joined and that's it. It was just to defuse and get out of the zone. At our company, we had one of our team members say, why don't we take our weekly Monday and meeting for 15 minutes and do it outside during the summer? And it was just this break from being in the location where we were all day long, and it made a huge difference. So thinking outside of the box and how you can manufacture these breaks that we normally would get if we're in office, I think is a way to help balance that, because you're right, Tamaz, it's exhausting and you push yourself further than you thought you would to the hours that you don't get that kind of productivity and work hours in when you're in office.
Okay, interesting. Jorge, I've seen your hands raised.
Yes. I also, again, I agree with Caitlin. And yeah, actually, that is something that happens a lot with my teams, right? Because I work as an agile coach, and each time that I have one-to-ones with my team, we have retrospective with them. They told me, Jorge, we are exhausted, right? We are at home. We need to take care of our children. We need to take care of our house, and beside that, we need to work, right? So it's a kind of difficult situation, right? So for that situation, basically, what we did is define team agreements, right? Team agreements. Okay. From this hour to this hour, we are going to have meeting business and so forth, right? But from this time, please, no meetings, no WhatsApps, respect our times in your home or in the office. I think we need to have some schedules, right? And this is part of team agreements. You need to sync up with your team, define some team rules, right? With your leaders. And also you need to share those kind of team agreements with your company, because they need to know what are your team rules, right? My recommendation is, if you can do it at enterprise level, that would be awesome, right? Because we're going to have the same rules for the entire company. That would be great, right? But at least I think you can start with your team. I think that would be a good exercise to avoid this exhausting situation. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I a point from Yoge, where he mentioned that structured breaks, if you can do it in your team level, organizational level, this is definitely a mindset that as leaders we should promote. Plus, ensure that not just promote but also ensure in some ways that our teams follow, so that the culture dwindles down, not just the pressure of deliverables. But I also want to remind, because we always talk about how exhausting it is and so on. I personally feel that it's not just work, it's a lot of other things that is weighing us down. I cannot freely go out of the house whenever I want, right? And my kid is always at home and always wants my attention, so that also pressurizes me. And there are many other factors, right? Then you worry about your elders, and when they go shopping, you worry whether they will catch the virus and come back home. So it's not just the work that I'm talking about, a lot of other factors. We have to remember that we are living in a pandemic, and I personally feel it's not always work that is stressing us or weighing us down or exhaustion. We must first remember this. It is very much a mental thing that we often underestimate. The whole pandemic is weighing us down. The new regulations from the government, the health policies from the government, the financial situations, our personal financial situations, the pressure that our businesses put on us, all these things actually I feel is weighing us down, not just work. This is my perspective. It could vary from individual to individual, but I feel that we often overlook the pandemic's influence on this exhaustion.
John, any final perspective for this?
Yeah, I want to agree with Keith. Yeah, there are so many things that are happening. At first, when the pandemic came, we were so maybe excited about working from home, such that it would just be about work. Then later on, we realized that there are also a lot of things at play. The children still need their time. The family still requires attention. So there is really need for managers to strike a balance between the two. I liked when Jock spoke about the structured breaks and systems. This will help us to ensure that there's a balance. That balance is very crucial, and I would say, finally, to be able to measure our productivity in terms of tasks. What have you achieved for the day? Not just the hours that you've put in. maybe your task, we anticipated it to be done in 3 hours, you've done it in 1 hour. That's how we should measure productivity in this era. Thank you.
I'm looking at the questions from the audience. I think one of them actually resonates quite closely to the current discussion. We have the question about, oh, I've lost my question. Yes, sorry. We have the question about the mental health, actually. So I think, Gita, actually, you mentioned some affection on mental state. And I think all over the world, we have so many discussions about the impact of working from home on our mental health, on even our kids' mental health, because we have to be at home, they have to be at home. So I will not ask you if there is an impact, because it is, but I would like to ask you how to deal with this, how to manage this. I don't know how it looks in different parts of globes, but for example, in Poland, when I'm looking for some, I know, systemic support for adults, for kids in these difficult times right now, it seems it's not sufficient. People just have to deal with this alone very, very often. So how do you think we could deal with this mental health impact of working from home? Because it will stay with us for years. We should have some solution for this. Anyone? Gita?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Thomas. I personally have been undergoing, I'm a very active person. I always want to travel, go out. So for me, being confined in a house is not working. And I realized that, and I'm having I used to have mood swings for no reason. And my family, like, who sees me, and also definitely my work and my team as well. How do I manage that? First thing is the realization. I one day realized that, yes, I'm taking all this toll on myself because I'm confined. That is the first step. And then I see, how do I release myself? Though I cannot freely move about, the best thing I can do is every day 1 hour, spend some time for myself, go out on a 1 hour walk, go outside in the open, get fresh air. So then I changed my lifestyle. Every morning I take a 1 hour walk, and that is my relaxation time. And when I come back, I'm fresh. My mind is fresh, like a reset. And again, the end of the day, I get corrupt, and then the next day morning, I start again. So this I've been doing, periodically. And over the last 3 months, I feel that my own, mental health has improved. Whenever I feel claustrophobic or I'm stressed, I just take a walk. That is my relaxation. And different people can have their different, release thing. People could play games, or different things work for different people. So I personally feel you have to see what works for you and try to spend consciously some time, be selfish in that aspect. Spend a 1 hour for yourself, and your partner or whoever works with your teammates, give them that 1 hour. Do not call them after 6 o'clock if you have the opportunity, and just give them that free space, because everyone has their own ways of dealing with this, and we should respect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Kate?
Tomas, in North America, I think the mental health support is not there yet. We're just starting to bring awareness. We're talking about it a little more openly, but from what I would like to see from companies, we're not quite there yet. We're just starting where we need to be, I think, going. And so that's, we're on a path. We're on a journey to get there. Gita, I like what you said about and being vulnerable and telling us about how you were feeling. And I remember one day I was mopping the floors and my kids were outside playing, and like I just started bawling. Like it is so overwhelming. And I came to work the next day, and our Mondays, we have a mind, body, soul moment where our team, we talk about what on the weekend was good for our mind, body, soul. And I opened up and I told them, like, I'm not doing well, right? And as a leader of my company, that allowed our team to be vulnerable, to talk about not doing well. And it gave them the permission to also come forward and say, I'm not doing okay. And for us as a team to say, how can we support you? What do you need? right? And I love identifying a task. For me, it's gardening. I put my hands in that soil and it washes away. And so I love finding that thing that kind of resets you, and it's so powerful. But I think we as leaders and as project managers need to be vulnerable a little bit to open up the discussion so we can talk about mental health, because it does impact productivity. It does impact our engagement. It impacts our company culture. And if we can't recognize it and support it, we're going to lose great people.
Thank you. So it sounds like a good advice from Brené Brown, I would say, with this being vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. Jorge, John, anything from you?
Yes. Okay, Caitlin said something very important. You need to find something that will reset you. So my wife and I discovered that during the pandemic, one of the things that, apart from exercising and going out for a jog, we found out that cooking was one of those things that would reset us. So we would cook a lot. After finishing our task, we would actually specifically set an hour or so to cook every day. Somehow it was just good, away from the screens, away from the whole world, because of so many meetings. So you need to find something. Honestly, there are times when you feel you're not well, and you need to be vulnerable to accept that and to find a way. In Zimbabwe, it's the mental health issue is being discussed a lot, because a lot has been happening. Our youth, some of them are now involved in drugs and the like. But we need to then, as managers, to find a way where we bring together our people and strike a balance between, just, it's not about work, also need to strike a balance to ensure that you have life, even if it's a virtual work environment. Thank you.
Just to add something, I agree with all of you, of course. I think that no matter if you are in this remote mode, or if you are in the face-to-face mode, I think it's quite important that for the leaders of the project or the teams, is to try to create these kind of events, remote events, where you can have this kind of activities, right? For example, in my company, we did some kind of funny thing, right? We did some kind of team work different from your product, right? Having fun with the guys, basically, discuss about some different situations. I think as a leaders, we need to set up those kind of spaces in our work, right? As part of our project plan, if we want to call them in that way, we need to also set some spaces for distraction, right? Let's talk about our passion, our team activities, integration. Let's meet each other, something like that. I think it's also part of our job.
Guys, let's change the industry. Let's change the topic a little bit, because we have some great questions from the audience, and a couple of them is about a different perspective. So I would like to ask you the question: if I would like to promote, or if anyone would like to promote senior management moving from traditional to hybrid in construction projects. Yes, because we have a lot of examples from IT projects, but let's switch a little bit to construction. So if we would like to promote senior management moving from traditional to hybrid in construction, where should we start? What would be the best first step to convince those guys? Who would like to start?
When you say construction, what you are meaning? Sorry, it's construction, but construction what?
Construction,
Houses,
I believe we are talking about buildings, cities, urban.
Okay.
Yeah. Gita, I've seen your hand raised. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, I'm very much from technology background. So when I see construction industry, I always wonder, this is an industry with a lot of potential. to innovate, to automate, So now we hear a lot about modularization, right? Right? You build somewhere else, you in parts, then you assemble, and then you have these 3D buildings and so on. So there is if you want the construction industry to go into a hybrid mode, right? I feel that is an opportunity. Modularization, virtualization as much as possible, so that you remove the physical or you reduce the physical component of it and make it as virtual as possible, so that people have this opportunity in that industry also to safeguard themselves wherever possible to work remotely. I don't know if that resonates with you, but this is my thought process. Virtualize as much as possible. I'm sure there are options there.
Okay, Kathleen?
This is interesting. My husband works construction, and I think they stopped for 2 weeks during the whole pandemic because they had to keep building. They were building one of the major arteries in Calgary, the Ring Road, and they did not stop. Now they took all the precautions and everything but they kept going, and they had, like, you physically can't build a road, too remote, but we're getting there. Because you look up in the northern Canada in the oil fields, what they're doing is they actually have these virtual machines, excavators run by remote. So I feel like technology is catching up to that. Geeta, like, we could get there where my husband could run the equipment from his home. It'd be like this video game for him essentially. But I don't think we're quite fully there yet. The technology isn't enough yet, but it could be. We're on our way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just to add something to that, I come from the IT world. If we are working in this situation, something that is quite important is try to remove all the things that are not adding value to your project management, right? I think because you need to be simple and try to be efficient, right, with your time, especially. It's a kind of group of ideas about lean construction. The apply lean for construction thing, right? So with this idea, basically you try to remove all the things that you can do and maybe don't add value to your project. So I recommend you to try to something like that, right? Try to use lean concepts in this business as well, for example.
John, anything from yourself?
Construction, I think I think the way the best way forward is to start encouraging your management to automate. Automation, as Geeta has said, is the way to go. Although I think it might take some time because people still somehow have to be physically there. But for the other parts of the construction, like architecture, like the designs and everything, that can be done remotely, and automation is the key. It's the first step. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And another very interesting from audience about consulting and how this business is affected by the new way of working. Because in the past, in consulting, we usually have been working, we usually have been paid by hours. And right now we have to switch the product into deliverables, which is quite difficult because sometimes in the history, you've been just sending the invoice to the customer with time report, and it worked for so many years. And right now, if you don't have consultants in the office, you cannot see what they are doing. It's much more difficult. You need much more trust, and actually, you would like to see some deliverables. So, how to switch this? How to start this discussion? What's the most important factor to make it successful?
Consulting firm. So we actually had to do so I'm glad that this question came up. We, a couple years ago, actually decided, it was pre-pandemic, we needed to change the way we were doing things. We had to package things. Our offerings then became packages. We realized that a lot of things we did for our clients were fairly similar in the process. There was unique things for that client specifically, but we could package it and we could make it an offer. And then it wasn't based, it was dollar based. And what ended up happening is becoming, when our clients became in these hybrid teams and they realized that remote work was possible, it opened up more opportunities for us as consultants because borders didn't matter now, right? We started working with clients down in the US that we never would have met before, you know? So, and because we came up with solutions on how we could be interactive with them virtually, and there's great tools out there that are free that you can use to do these things. It was huge. It was a huge ability to pivot. But packaging turned us around from like saying, okay, we'll hire you because I know I'm getting all of this, right? It kind of eliminates that fear from the client's perspective that it's just going to run out hours and drain, especially when everybody's fully budgets nowadays.
Thank you, Kate, for this perspective. John?
I'm excited about this question because we are also in consulting. I actually think even without this remote thing, consulting mustn't be paid in hours for hours worked. They must be paid for deliverables. It makes the whole thing complicated. The customer experience is terrible if you are just about hours. I'm also happy to say that we got our first customer out of Zim, where we did a purely remote job in Tanzania during the COVID era. We agreed on deliverables and we were paid accordingly. So I think it's us as consultants or as project managers, we need to shift our mindset to know that I'm never supposed to be paid for time, but for something tangible. If it's a service that I'm supposed to provide, if it's a solution that I'm supposed to deploy and it has gone live, that's when I get paid. That's how we should ensure we get paid for delivering something that is tangible. That's what I think. So I think as consultants, we must move from just saying, I liked Kathleen when she said they kind of bundled their packages such that you know that when the customer is looking for a package, it means there's something they gain at the end of the day. I'm sure it's not fulfilling to just be at work for 8 hours and get paid when you have done nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes. So, from your perspective, it's just not the cause of pandemic. It was in the past. So I love this idea of working with deliverables in consulting. Who else?
From a client perspective, right? Because I run 60 projects per year, and all our projects are done by consultants and service providers, right? So as customers, what we expect from our partners is accountability. Right now, our partners are also virtual, so there is no way we can control them or their subcontractors and so on. So we expect accountability from our main partners. Right, the number of hours do not matter anymore, right? And so like Caitlin mentioned about packaging, that's what we expect from our providers. So we own it. Yes, when you get a contract, don't talk about hours. It doesn't matter anymore. Own the service, own the outcome, own the issues, own the deliverables, and I think that will be the future. I think more and more companies will go into managed services where it will be also like someone in the chat put as measure results. Like that's how it's going to be. The results will be measured. Payment will be made based on results, not short term but long term. It's not that you deliver today, it works today, but the measurements and KPIs will be for a longer period. For 3 months there are no incidents, then you get this incentive. So it's going to be that kind of mindset, if you ask me, and we need to also remember that.
Thank you.
I agree. I agree. Actually, for example, in my case, because I work also in consultant world, during this pandemic, we changed a little bit our this how we offer these services to our customers, and basically we add OKRs. So we find some OKR for our service. So, okay, we are going to move these key results during those 3 months, 6 months regarding our services. So this is a good way, right, to try to think on outcomes instead of hours or something like that. So I can recommend that if you are a consultant and you want to define a clear outcome for your service, maybe you can use OKRs, right? It's a simple way to create these conversations with your customers.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from your comments is that actually we need much more we need more maturity in communication between consulting company and the customer, because it's not only about this is the price per hour and we are this nice brand and you can hire us. Right now you have to convince the customer that the result will bring value and the real value to the customer, actually, which is fine. I like this because from the customer perspective, probably it's more predictable. And if you will build these packages and if they are not too huge, it really can be predictable and you can bite, the elephant bite by bite. So I like this. And we have very interesting comment from the audience. I would like to share it with you and ask about your comments. The question, it's just a perspective, but it's really, really interesting. Somebody wrote that working from home is not a new thing, okay? And effective people were working at office and home before pandemic too. And it didn't make a big difference actually for them when we asked them to work from home because of pandemic. Only those people working in office only were asked to stay and work from home, and their effectiveness went down in reality. So what's your opinion on that? I think it's quite controversial.
It is quite exciting. Let's go ahead.
John, would you like to continue?
Yes, I wanted Geeta to go ahead.
No, John, you go ahead. I'm enjoying that question.
Okay, I'm also enjoying it. It's true that working from home has been happening, but now it's because of the pandemic. It's more deliberate. You have no option. We used to say, "Well, I've got so much work. Let me carry it home." But now we had no option except to work from home. Now there are individuals who would never work from home. They had their computers at the office and they only switch on their computers when they get to the office and work. Yeah, I think the adjustment might have it might have been hectic for such individuals. And considering a lot of things, maybe from our perspective, the home environment might not even be suitable for certain type of work. Their productivity went down, not deliberately, but because some had no access to the internet, connectivity issues, their homes were just not conducive to be working from. So that's what. So the company now has to come up with a structure. For instance, in this side we have power cuts. That also will cause the productivity of employees to go down, those who have always been productive at the office. So the project managers need to be deliberate, provide power backups, ensure connectivity, and be more deliberate exactly on how to get employees to be more productive, even when they were used to be working from the office. Thank you.
Geeta?
Okay, I see that as two questions. The first part is, those who were productive could work from home, but I've personally seen the trust issues in the past. Those who were productive or were also not trusted to work remotely. I'm sure many of you would have experienced that. So it personally depends on who is your immediate supervisor, what is the organization culture, and so on. So that trust right is now broken. Is now accepted, is now given. So now people trust us. They go, please work from home. We trust you, right? So that shift is the first thing. That is a good thing for those people who are productive wherever they are. And this is something we must always remember. I always tell myself, not just now in the pandemic, this trust is first given until, proven otherwise. This was not there in the past, even for effective people, that I can tell you that. Then the second part of that question about, some of the those who were, who prefer to work in office couldn't adapt. That is an adaptability issue in some cases. Like as an individual, you are more comfortable in a work environment. Maybe the home environment is not, convenient enough for them. You cannot judge. That is another thing that I have learned. What people experience at home, how their personal and environment is, whether it is conducive to work, we will never know. And that is something that we can never judge. That is that's one perspective. Another perspective is some of the industries you can try to switch it to remote work, but it will not work. Someone has in the chat mentioned about the service industry. So we have seen how low the quality of the service industry has gone down for many reasons, right? Many of the businesses have actually turned off the services option, and they've all gone into community support. I can name a few very popular services for which, if you go and check, you will not find support from the pandemic. So what they say is, instead route you to communities which offer free support, and which is an individual's view to support, right? So all this shift has happened, and I feel that there are a lot of reasons which could be the reason, but I wouldn't go into the argument that people who can't like to work in office might not fit into working remotely if they are not productive. I do not agree with that, because there are many factors. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Geeta touched on a really, really meaningful point there, is that I think a lot of us take for granted that working from home is a safe place. And not everybody has a safe environment to come home to. And sometimes being in the office was their safe place. And so I think there is a whole nother level that, um, the leadership and management don't see, right? That we need to be super understanding about. And then to John's point, do we have the technology, right? Do they have Wi-Fi capability? It's all of, do they have the setup, like the tech and stuff? And then I think the really key point here is that certain management styles don't work as well in a hybrid or a remote, right? If you're a micromanager, if you need to see in on people, and that, you're going to have problems if you don't have that trust. If your team hasn't built a strong culture of trust and accountability, and if you don't have that culture at the forefront of your team, you are going to struggle, because there is a lot, as a leader and as a manager, you've got to let go and trust that it happens when you're not physically there. And so there's certain management styles that just are really hard to put into a remote situation.
Yes,
Thank you.
just to add something to the conversation is that I like this quote from Lisa Crispin. She said that success projects are not made by tools or frameworks, are made by people. And we as a leader, we need to take care of our people, right? I know that there are people that works awesome at home. Great for them, right? Great for them. I trust you. I trust on you, so you can keep that great work. But we as a leaders, we need to see our entire team, right? We need to take care of our special situation in each team member. So agree, right? There are some cases where people can be efficient at home, at work, at the office, but maybe in their houses they have some family problems, health problems, children, and so forth, right? So I think here we have a real challenge, right, as a leaders, to try to work with them and try to create this kind of agreements, a good environment, you know, to try to keep our teams focused, engage with our work, productive, right, and happy, of course. So, yeah.
Mhm. I have another question from the audience. I like this one. This one is more about communication. Yes, we moved from face-to-face and office communication, from kitchen communication by the coffee. It's impossible right now. So a lot of things changed in this area. So considering the new way of operating, what change do project leaders have to bring in with their communication with stakeholders? What we have to change? This is the question from the audience. Who would like to the first to answer? Again, Kate, I'm hearing a lot of Brené Brown in your answers. I like it.
Well,
I
you
like
know,
it.
she's great. Renee's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
You know, this is something that has been really interesting when switching to hybrids or remote teams, or in that I talked about before, you don't meet up at the water cooler anymore, right? These little pieces of communications or connection points that are easy when you're in person and kind of just unconsciously happen. You unconsciously communicate, right? You don't think I'm going to walk over here and run into George and we're going to go, have a chat at the water cooler about the tasks that need to be done this day. It just kind of happens, right? It's unconscious. So hybrid and remote teams have to consciously manufacture these moments to connect, or have processes around how they could, those got five. Hey, I popped my head into your office. You got 5 minutes? I just gotta get unstuck here. You've got to set up rules on, and I think it was George that said this. You got to set up those rules. What does that look like? How can you get 5 minutes of somebody's time when and not just throw an email over, right? Because then you're just flinging stuff back and forth and inundating people. So you have to manufacture these moments, and it feels awkward at first. It feels really awkward to manufacture these moments that you get unconsciously in communicating in an office, but eventually it comes around and your team actually looks forward to those things.
Thank you. Thank you for this perspective. Would like to add something to this.
You know, about communication, I think something that is really powerful is about visualization, right? Uh, in the past, you can have this kind of conversation face to face, discuss, you can see the expression of somebody, but in this new era, right? I think visualization tools like Miro, like Mural, are really key, right? So I recommend you, if we have some leaders, we have leaders, right? In the session, or project managers or managers, I recommend you to buy all these kind of tools for your company and learn how to use it, right? Because believe me, it's quite powerful when you present an idea using some visualization stuff. If you compare that with talking, maybe you're going to have problems with your idea, right? So that is my recommendation here. Visualization. You need to visualize everything, right?
Okay. One drawing instead of thousands of words. I like it. I like it. Gita, John?
I think on communication, it's always important to ensure that it continues to be two-way from the project manager's end. What we would do is we would always be the one giving instructions. There is need for time to have engagement activities, to have sort of a round table virtual communication, that the communication remains two-way, even if we're not face to face. And I also think it's important to have the emotional intelligence to read even body language, even in these virtual meetings. Thank you.
Gita?
I looked at one of the comments where someone has shared feedback on how disastrous this virtual working has been, because their team is not able to manage or honor that trust. So they have to have not meetings, but working sessions to get them to work. So these are all, really unfortunate situations. Everything is not green, right? It cannot be that way. There will be such, people who will need help and so on. I've also had my share of, pockets of time where some employees, go into that space. So that is another example where communication is very important, right? Where you need to communicate, explain to them that this is what I'm observing in you is something wrong. We should have this, heartfelt talk with them, show them data, to people get offended. So you have to show them some data, give them some examples, and make them see that perspective and see what help they need, and see how we can bridge that. And it is difficult, it is hard work, not just for for the employees, but also for the leaders who manage them, because we are responsible for the deliverables, right? Their deliverables are our deliverables, are our KPI. So it's all tied together. We have to make them see this perspective, and for that a lot of communication is needed. And in my opinion, right, when you shouldn't, I don't like to go to someone only when I have to get my work done. I want to have an everyday conversation with them. 5 minutes of my time with my teammates. What are you doing today? What is your plan? How is your mom? How is your kid? Are they doing home-based learning? Just this small talk. I'm not doing anything productive, but I'm building this trust virtually. And tomorrow when I go to them for a work, right, they'll be willing to talk to me. They know that because I'm a person who will want to talk to them, not just about work or not just about deliverables. But I'm also a person who's pushy. When I need to get work done, I get work done. They know that. But they see this as a human. I'm also a human, right? I'm also a person. I'm an individual with all emotions and everything. This, I feel that we need to inculcate more, especially in this hybrid or in this virtual, lifestyle.
Thank you. I'm looking at another really interesting question from our audience. Guys, I really love your questions. They are so different, and I don't know, it may be a challenging one for our panelists. So let's try this one. This one is more about security perspective. Somebody said that working from home gives us more possibilities for some data leaks or some other security incidents. We are not in the office network. We maybe we have VPNs to be remotely in the company network, but still we are at home. We just have much more opportunities to lose some data, to have some security incidents. What do you think about this? What's your perspective or recommendations about this topic, Gita?
Yes, please, because this is something that I love to answer. Technology security, this is my forte. So over the last 2 years, we see 483% increase in malware and security threats, like over 300 to 400 times. This is the data that has been reported. We don't know the data that is not reported. So we must be aware that this is given. COVID has exponentially increased the number of security incidents worldwide, and the costs that are associated, the cost impact of these for big companies, we have seen that, right? And that's why I feel security is everyone's responsibility. Everyone's responsibility. Every device that you get from your office, you must treat it as an office machine, or imagine you're working in your office. You do not have other engagements in this. Do not download any. These are all basic practices. I'm sure each corporate company or each organization has their own set of ISM policies. This is again my request to whoever asked this question. Please understand what your ISM policies are, your information security policies are. Each company will surely have some of these guidelines. And in my opinion, if the employees just follow those, we will address most of these, or avoid most of these issues. And then leave the system level or the application level and the data level security incidents to the experts. But as individuals, as employees, we are all responsible in our own ways. And this is a mindset that I would like to promote.
Thank you. Obviously, you are quite passionate about this topic.
It's my bread and butter.
Yeah. Who would like to add something to this?
Okay, I would like to add something. I'm also quite passionate about security issues. I think organizations must move from just the traditional firewall endpoint VPN solutions to be more advanced, even to go for device encryption, and to ensure that even our home networks are secured as well, because there's likely to be a breach coming just even from your local network. So it's just to ensure that there's more consolidated security from the home network to the office network. And there are some quite interesting security solutions that have also been in the market that came because of the pandemic. There's been so many security breaches that I've heard one speaker who said there are only two types of organizations: those that have been hacked and those that will be hacked. That's what's happening in terms of security. So it's time that we come up with security policies that protect us. Each and every organization must have and should have a policy, and that security policy and on basic do's and don'ts at home when you're working or when you're working remotely. Thank you.
Kate?
You know, I'm not as knowledgeable as Geeta in this area, but I know enough to be dangerous. And something really interesting I found out the other day is that a lot of security breaches, you know, you've got big corporations that have like entire teams with cybersecurity policies and plans and procedures, but a lot of security breaches happen at smaller companies who didn't even think that they were on the radar. Right. And so I really want to implore smaller businesses to engage cybersecurity experts to take a look at where they are vulnerable, because you think that, oh, no one's going to attack me. But I heard of a company just the other day and they had all of their files held hostage. Right. And you can't even imagine as a small business owner what that feels like, and to go through that, and you don't have the big pockets, deep pockets to handle these things. So do the proactive thing, get in touch with somebody. I think cybersecurity, and we don't even realize as employees and even the smaller business owners, we don't realize what risk we're putting ourselves at. But we share a Microsoft 365 folder. We don't realize what we've allowed to happen and what the processes are around doing that. We just think, great, we're collaborating, we're moving forward, we're going. We don't take the time to realize where we are at risk. So, definitely get those experts to come in, because it's not just the big corporations at risk. It is even the smaller businesses.
Geeta?
I'll quickly add on one point to Kirlan. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because you guys have different sets of problems. That's why when I finished, I said this point of mindset, to promote this mindset of security. Many of us actually don't know what is right, what is wrong. So whether the big business is big or small, right? We should promote. Every organization should take security seriously and promote, awareness. So that is, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an expert in small businesses, but you can tell me if small businesses are doing enough to promote security awareness. And that's a point we can leave to the audience to think about.
Yes, just to add something, in agile world, we have this concept agile testing, right? And agile testing means the testing or the quality is responsibility of the entire team, not only for the testers. The same idea is for something called continuous testing, right? Testing is not about the security engineers or some kind of department. No, security is a kind of responsibility of the entire company. So I think that is the mindset that we need to foster in our companies, right? It's not about responsibility of someone. It's a kind of culture and ways of working that we need to understand, and it's part of our business mindset as well. So I would recommend that.
Okay, thank you guys. So I believe we are running out of time. So yes, I'm looking at my watch and it says so. Yes, it says I should wrap up a little bit. So I'm wondering I'm just watching where we've been in this discussion. It was quite a journey, because we've started actually with some discussion about motivation, and then we've switched to communication, and I liked your perspectives, and you can see a lot of let's say different things that should happen in communication when we don't have a lot of opportunities to to be in the office. I like this this message that we are missing those unconscious things that happen. Yes, we are losing them, and I like this idea of letting go. We have to let go to more things because we cannot control many things that happens at home, and even we have a short episode of a discussion about construction projects, even if most of you are from IT, but you were trying so hard to give some recommendations. I like this one about link construction. Thank you for this one. And I'm taking from this discussion the, let's say, deliverables based results from consulting. I think this is very, very important. And I think the whole world of consulting should take this because it brings much more value to customers. And it's just so agile to think first about customers and to think first about value. And finally, the discussion of security, it was really interesting. And all of you said that we just should follow security policies, security rules from the companies, which from me, it brings two perspectives. One is let people be, let them go, okay? It's just give them more flexibility. That's a takeaway from this communication discussion. But from the other side, when we are talking about security, company data, just remember to treat company equipment properly and follow security policies. And we have to find the balance between those two edges, I would say. So I think that's it. We have some questions, but we didn't have enough time to answer all of them. So Priya, I'm giving back to you and advise what we will do with those questions.
So we're going to post the answers on LinkedIn. We're going to take perspectives from all the panelists. We'll select few questions. We'll try to categorize them or group them and kind of answer those questions so that people don't miss out on this wide range of wisdom that we have here. But yes, this is time to wrap up. I would hand over the stage to Prashant to take us through the journey of this entire event and what are the key points that we got here today.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks, Thomas. I think you did most of what I am supposed to. You did a good wrap up, but just for my perspective, it's customary to to have a wrap up at the end. So thank you all the panel speakers for a very interesting discussion. Let me put forth a few points which left me thinking. In fact, like John suggested, that as leaders we need to engage with team members at personal level. That keeps them motivated. Further, John believes that there were more technical or logistic aspects for reduced productivity during work from home than anything else. Geeta explained how they have established a level of trust with team members and how that contributed towards improved productivity. She also shared how she was able to manage the stress, thereby avoiding adverse impact on health. Jorge shared how team agreements worked for their hybrid teams and brought in efficiency. Besides, he advised to work with the team members to understand their challenges towards working from home and try to attend those. Kate explained how leaders need to be open to talk about work-life balance and understand the team's perspectives on what works best for them. Further, to mitigate the challenge of justifying their invoices from a consultant's perspective, Kate suggested to package the offer in a form that the client understands what's on the offering. So, great insights from all the panel speakers. Thank you very much for your time today. Also, thank you all the participants for the time and attending the session today. We look forward to your feedback. Uh, Please access the link. I'm sure it's on the chat. Please access the link and post your feedback. We will be interested to know what topics would you like to hear in forthcoming sessions. Thank you, Sunil, for your help as WebEx admin and making this event smooth as ever. Yuda, our chapter leader from Puget Sound chapter for excellent flyers. Damike for social media posts. And PMI members, please make a note of the PDU code. You will also receive an emailer. So if you have not taken a note, you'll get an email with the details on how to claim the PDUs. And again, thank you everyone for a great participation today. Over to you, Priya.
Yes, a heartfelt thanks to all the attendees who have attended the session today, and some in the middle of the night. For some, it is early morning, and for some, it is almost lunchtime, and for us, it is Friday late evening. We thank you for giving all your time today and the attention today, which is very, very precious. We understand that. We will catch up again next month and with another exciting topic. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon. All right. See you. Bye bye.